Well, hello, welcome. I would say let's start. Welcome to this next SSbD training of our Planets project. Today it's the second time that we're dealing with a data-related issue, topic. So we are going to be talking about the digital product passport today. We have had one training in advance on data fairness and digital product passport. I would like to thank um, people from Aman, Ruben, Gomez, Rui, Marito, Antonio Abadia, Lucia, Alonso, Vanessa Alvear, leads actually this activity in our project. Also Cécile Philippot from CEA, Juliette Brunet and Loelia Foyer from IC. Also Beatrice for your support. Thanks a lot. My team as well at my university. So what are we going to be doing today? So we are going to be spending something between 1.5 and 2 hours on this topic, and it's going to be a very interactive session, I would say. I can really promise that. We will introduce a bit, remind and recap from what we did in this previous first session on fairness and DPP, but this very shortly. Then we look at why do we do DPP here in our project, in our Resilience 24 project, where we implement SSbD in a couple of different value chains. What is it used for? It's not mandatory yet, but we need to get fit DPP basically. So what are the challenges? What are the future initiatives to be done? And then we dive right into the, this will be presented by Cécile. And then we dive into DPP data model and how does this correlate with SSbD methodology. Then we become very practical and look into EcoTrace app, which is a kind of a tool that we will be using, and that is out for conducting DPP data capture within a project like this. And we will still probably in future modify it a bit. So it's in development, I would say. Therefore, we also get demonstrated in it and can try it out in breakout groups. I've got 3 or something breakout rooms where we can play a little bit with it. Yeah, and then we are going to be capturing all that, give feedback, and see how we eventually need to further modify that. So this will be quite interesting, interactive discussion in the end. Good. So a few things, as I said, there was already one training before. This was on 19th of May. We did also talk about data fairness and DPP. You would find materials generated from that, so slide sets, also a report nicely summarizing what we did and what highlighting at that time on our web, on our homepage, under resources, training materials. Also an online recording is available from YouTube, and all the materials are collected at this Zenodo. You can find that and cap yourself. Just a few things to be mentioned from there. We worked at that time through data fairness, what it means, what is findability, accessibility, interoperability, and reusability, and what is required for that. For example, what are rich metadata? What are such kind of things? What are global, unique, and persistent identifiers or communication protocols? And who is authorized actually, and what is required for an authorization to get access to these materials? Not everything is open access, or it does not at all mean open access, but there are rules how to access, and there are a way how you would find to get access and whom you approach to have eventual access to the data. This is a requirement of their data. Then there are fair vocabularies. We worked a little bit on that. Licensing, provenance, community standards. This is also very important, which is relevant for fairness. There are tools around, like fair enabling resources and fair implementation profiles that help verifying data sets, the community, in order to optimize fairness of their output of projects. And this is something that the Commission also demands European projects to deal with. So the objective is to harmonize knowledge and highlight its role as a kind of key enabler to operationalize SSbD approaches. So it's very important for these type of projects. Metadata was mentioned. What are metadata? We know that. And what they need to be for enabling verification or fairness of data is that it needs to be rich, and we did also work on what rich means, that in the end they need to be standardized, machine readable. This is very relevant for interoperability and reusability of data, and linked, for example, to external identifiers, annotation, ontologies come here into play. And we see this also here, is persistent identifiers, standards, vocabularies, ontologies, and then also provenance information. So there is this kind of layer of metadata is relevant. This is, of course, relevant also for DPP, digital product passports. Where does this come from? It's very closely related to SSbD. It's important. It is demanded by the Circular Economy Action Plan, and also an essential feature, I should say, of the Eco-Design for Sustainable Product Regulation, the ESPR. So the objectives are basically to support circular economy goals, to reduce waste, so it helps the recyclers, retailers of materials and products. It should also somehow enhance the guidance or the consumer choice. So consumers are also a stakeholder group that have access or insight into DPPs, and it overall should also facilitate regulatory compliance. Requirements are then some things that we know already, like unique product identifiers, and these kind of information into such type of elements is a requirement for the DPP. Physical presence, standard compliance, interoperable data, once again, data privacy rules, product reference levels, controlled access. At that time, when we did this training, we also did a survey among our consortium, and many of us did not have lots of knowledge before that on DPP, but still people were identifying quite interestingly, for example, the advantages of what DPP can serve the society on our continent. Let's say, so for example, improved transparency in value chains was identified as an advantage, what people would associate it with digital product passports, or improved supply chain tracking. So it facilitates basically collaboration within these value chains. And there are elements of this DPP, and we will see this a bit later in the data structure, data model, that different stakeholders in these value chains are contributing to an overall chain, this blockchain in the end. And with this, I would like to give over the word now to Cécile Philippot from CEA to review a little bit our project and why we have decided to work more than maybe other projects on DPP implementation for our SSbD initiative. Cécile, please.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. So yes, the goal is to highlight how DPP is integrated in the Planet project. I think that we can skip already this slide and move to to this one. Thanks. So yes, definitely DPP for Planet will be a really helpful tools to promote our product, and the result of the 3 case study regarding the surfactant, the flame retardant, and plasticizer development. And as already mentioned by Martin, this will be a way to communicate and disseminate easily the information through this project. And and for that, we have started to work internally during the Planet project through the operationalization of the SSbD, and the idea in Planet project is to have strong connection between the assessor, the SSbD assessor, and the innovator. And it's for that we have also created the third group, the SSbD ambassador, to make the link between these two main group, the assessor and the innovators. And one of the way to communicate easily between these three groups is one through the creation of the decision support tool, but also using the FAIR data and put all this data and information inside the digital passports. So on the next slide, yes, I will just shortly introduce why it's important to have this digital product passport inside Planet project. The idea is first to tracking the compliance, to hold all the critical data for assessing the SSbD aspect of the product, and this will be compliant with the ESPR. It's also a good way to share information and provide information to consumer and industry on all the SSbD data that we can generate through this project. And also this will be a way to manage the end of life of the projects and give information regarding the recyclability on the products. The second question on next slide is the what. Just one simple word. The SSbD is a foundation to ensure that products are inherently safe and sustainable by design, and as mandated by the ESPR, we have to be sure and have the good traceability through the DPP data that we have this safe and sustainable stuff. And it's for that the DPP will be really helpful to track this information and then support the dissemination and be aligned with the ESPR requirements. And will be yes, like that we can enable to have a circular economy and enhancing the product life cycle with quite nice transparency, safety and sustainability aspects. And the last question is how. And in Planet, the DPP is on the core of our strategy, and it will integrate all the information that we will generate through the project. Not only the information regarding the SSbD assessment in the three levels, the simplified, the intermediate, and the full tiers, 1, 2, and 3, but also the idea is to fit the information compliance with the regulation, and also give information regarding the alternative identity, and much more information. That's the other colleague will give much more information regarding DPP aspect then. So that's all regarding the objective of DPP inside Planet. And just to give you some information regarding the current situation and the deployment of DPP. For the moment, DPP is currently applied in the battery case, but based on the ESPR priority, we can see that 5 additional groups will be have to integrate this strategy. And especially you can see here the toy and the paint and varnish could be really interesting in our case study. And to illustrate this, we can move on the next slide, and we can have here an example on the tire DPP. And this will be one of the 5 new groups that you have to integrate to the DPP. And this is some data coming from CIRPA's project. And as you can see here, that's with the DPP, we can find information regarding the product identification, to the brand, the model, the size, and so on. But also we can find some information regarding the performance and the durability of the products. The quite an interesting section regarding the composition and the substance of concern inside the product. Also some information regarding the sustainability and the end of life and all the instruction for use, maintenance, and the recyclability aspect of the tires. So this philosophy is really similar to the one that we applied in Planet Projects. And I'll let the floor to Ruben, and I think that this will be go deeper inside this aspect. Thanks.
This is a timeline that gives us context about the past, present, and future developments that we are facing. So, as you can see, the PlanX project started in November 2024 and is expected to finish in October 28. Meanwhile, the DPP development started in 2025 and will stay under work until 2030. So this means that the planets and the DPP lifecycle are currently overlapping, and this means that we must work proactively and keeping planets and DPP well aligned. And we should look for good compromises to ensure that there is a proper interoperability. So, what is actually the DPP? How is the DPP being defined? So, we must differentiate between the two sides of the data model definition. On one hand, in the left, you can see the standardization bodies, such as the CEN CLC JTC 24, that establishes how the data should be structured. This is the data elements, the data types, the serialization, etc. This is a generic structure that is not product specific and does not define any content. And in the other hand, the regulators, the industry, and the product owners are responsible for defining what the specific DPPs will include. This is mandatory information, the sector-specific data, the sustainability details, and even which data is public or confidential. Of course, the content of the DPP is product-specific as it describes all the relevant information about it. So, as you may know, the Planets framework defines 2 phases based on the JRC framework. The first phase is redesign and scoping, and the second phase is the assessment. And the assessment phase is subdivided into 3 tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3. That are expressed in 5 dimensions: hazard, exposure, environment, economic, and social. Each study case must make their assessments over these dimensions, so they will be responsible for providing this data. Following the same logic, it has been proposed a data structure that aligns with the Planet's framework, and this has been validated for each specific assessment. Each tier will contain different kinds of data that go from qualitative to semi-quantitative and finally to quantitative. You can see in this slide how the tiers and the SSbD life cycles match. To relate this approach with the DPP, the tier 1 matches the concept and design stage, the tier 2 matches the detail design and engineering, And the tier 3 matches the production, the use maintenance, and the end of life and recycler stages. So, for this, to give support to the DPP adoption, we have developed the EcoTrace app that we'll show later. This is a web application where users such as manufacturers, recyclers, regulators, and consumers can read, create, update, and publish archive product DPPs. So as an example, product users will be able to access the DPP through a QR code. This QR code will lead them to the EcoTrace product information page, so any user can learn about the product lifecycle, regulations, etc. Furthermore, authorized users, defined by roles and permissions, grant access to EcoTrace as a DPP manager and create DPPs, defining all the relevant information about it. These DPPs can be accessed by other users later, like the consumers we said before. So this application has been developed to manage fully customizable data models, so it is a product agnostic tool. This is fundamental to ensure accessibility, interoperability, and reusability, or in other words, fair compliancy.
In our EcoTrace application, to create the DPPs, we create two data models, the field groups and the product types. The field groups, it's a collection of fields that represents a specific data of the DPP and can be reused in different product types. Then the product type, it's the structure of the DPP and it's composed by the collection of fields or the field group you previous created. Here in the right side, we have the examples. The field group in the left, it's a general information with some fields of the product, for example, description, brand, model. And then when you create the product type, you assign this field group create previous and this specific product type, and you can create the collection of fields different in from you create before. For example, the materials and compositions, it's unique for this product type. Next.
Here we can see the general architecture of the application. This diagram gives us a simple overview of the main components, which we'll explain in more details in the next slides. There are an out layer and a DPP API that uses an object storage and document database for the persistence and publishes some events to one message broker. In the other side, we have the traceability API that consumes a message from the message broker. Both message broker are joined by a blockchain layer. Next slide, please. As an authentication layer, we use Keycloak, that is an open source solution that provides features such as user management, role-based access control, and secure login. From Keycloak, we manage all the users and the assigned roles. At the moment, the application uses the following roles: administration, manufacturing, recyclers, regulators, consumers. As we can see in the image, the permission inside applications depends directly on these roles. Next slide, please. Okay, the DPP API is the responsible for all the logic related to the digital product passport. It handles the creation, update, validation, and retrieval of the DPP data. For the data persistence, the system used the two storage systems and object storage, where all the files linked to the DPP are saved, and a document database, where the structure, information, and data models are stored. In addition, this API publishes events to the message broker. These events notify other services when something changes in a DPP. This mechanism is important because it helps external systems stay synchronized and support interoperability between platforms. Next slide, please. Okay. As part of this interoperability, we developed the traceability API. Every action generated on a product propagates message through the blockchain to the traceability API, as you can see in the image. By calculating event hashes, we can detect if there are consistencies between the data published in the DPP API and the traceability API. Doing this, we can detect changes that have not been traced in the blockchain layer. This layer will explain now in the following slides.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the blockchain, right? The blockchain helps the project to address some of the issues that we need to manage. So specifically, one, the blockchain is based on immutable blocks of data that allows easy lifecycle traceability. Two, since blockchain is deployed along a decentralized network with redundancy by definition, it provides high availability. Three, the blockchain only allows a set of operation predefined by a smart contract, which leads to excellent data safety. Four, using a private blockchain, only authorized users and entities can read and write data, so information is stored in the blockchain is totally confidential. And five, we can limit the access to the data to specific partners, so the network only needs to be integrated by the entities that manage the DPPs. So there are many blockchain technologies, but the one that better fits our requirements is Hyperledger Fabric. This is a private blockchain, which means that only authorized entities have access to the network, and this is different to all the other face-on blockchain networks, such as Ethereum, for example, that are public, so anyone can access their data. I'll give you a brief explanation of the main features of Hyperledger Fabric here in this picture. So, the organizations that belong to the network have nodes, also called peers, that are deploying in the network that can communicate through a private channel in top. So these nodes are responsible for executing the operations or transactions in the network. Now, every node in the network has a copy of the ledger, as you can see in the picture. The ledger is a data storage where each organization stores all the transactions or operations that have been made by anyone in the blockchain. As an example, a possible transaction can be the creation of a new DPP. Each transaction is represented by a block and placed in the ledger. So each block is linked to the previous block. So no block can be deleted because it would break the chain. Another important piece of the blockchain is the smart contract that contains the set of operations that are allowed in the network. Each node has an exact copy of this contract, so if someone tries to make an illegal operation, the other nodes will reject it, and it won't be written down in the ledger. So, this is the integration we are developing. The EcoTrace app publishes the DPP operations in a connector, as Antonio explained before. This connector normalizes the data and sends it to the Fabric gateway. The Fabric gateway is a tool that requests operations in the Hyperledger Fabric channel, so the nodes can accept or reject it by consensus. Imagine this example. A user creates a DPP of a spoon and in the EcoTrace app and publishes it. The EcoTrace backend automatically sends it to the DPP creation notification, sends this DPP creation notification to the connector. And it is then redirected to the Fabric gateway. In the DPP, if the DPP has been created following the rules of the smart contract, the organization's nodes will accept it, and it will be written down in the ledger. However, if the operation is illegal in some way, for example, the user is not authorized, some important data is missing, the format is incorrect, or any other option, the operation will be rejected by the nodes. And now is the time for the EcoTrace demo.
This is our application. In the left side, we have the menus, and the right side, we have the page of this menu. So at first, we have the dashboard. Here, we have two sections, the metrics and the products. In the metrics, we show the active DPPs models, the DPPs model created by users, and the DPP reads. In the product part, we show the recent DPPs created, in this case, recently. So we have this is the login, the token expired. Oh. In the products part, we have the products, the DPPs, separate by product types, and the DPP will be in the table of this product type. For example, here we have this plastic toy, it's a car. And here we have the options to delete, to edit, to see here in the computer, and the care code. In the computer, you can see it too, here in the eye icon. It will show this way. Here we have, for example, a certificate.
We are seeing the other tab.
Oh, yeah. 1 second, I will change it. Okay, we can see it in the computer, all the information we created. So I will continue the application. Here we have the part of the data models, the field groups and product types. Here in the field groups, we already have created some of them. We have the permissions here. I will come back at this part in a minute. Here, it's a part of creating the product type. Now I will show you step by step how you can create a product type. You don't need to create a field group, but I will create it to demonstrate all the step by step. Here in field group, we come to add a group. In the left side, we have a tree that represents the structure of the fields. I will create, in this case, an object, and I will call it material and compositions. This is the part in the right side where you configure the fields you are creating. In this case, I put the name. I can put if it's required or not. For example, the name of the product can be required. So this, when you create the DPP, we always have to put the name. And here you have the roles, the read and the write. For example, if I don't want the consumers see this part in the DPP, I can uncheck this part, and when you read the DPP, you will not see it. And the right part is, for example, I only want the manufacturers put data in this part. I remove all of them, and the manufacturers is the only one who can edit this part. I will create, in this case, a list. The list is, for example, I'm adding materials, but I don't want one material. I want a list of them. So I create a list, and then I could put a string. It's a text field, for example, name of the product. But because I want more information in the materials, I will create an object and call it material. Then I will put the material name and material, oh, in this case, description. So after this, I will save it. And you have here the field group. Then we go to the product type and create a new one. At first, we can put the name. I will create a plastic construction toy. Here we have the part to add the field groups. I will add after I add the fields. And here it's the collection of fields individual. This is not create previously. You are creating at this moment. So I will create one of them and call it then I will create a text, and this text is the slogan of the DPP, the product. I will not add the name because when you create the product type, this automatically creates this specific field of the name of the product. And I will create a couple of the fields more. And a file, for example. Okay, in the product, because we don't have a specific field yet in the part of the UI configuration, we need to add a file and call it img. This will be the product image you will have. Now we have this structure and we want to add the previous field group we have created. We come here, we click here, and you can see it. I added wrong. So I will delete it. I will the product and here, yeah. Like you can see it, it's the structure we created previous. And I think the product, it's okay. I will save it. And now we will create the product type. We come to the products. Like we can see, we have the section of the plastic construction toy, and we will add one. Here we selected, and all the fields we created, it's here so we can fill it. So I will start for the name. I will we will add an image. I already have here one. And general information. In the description, I will add a text. I already have it here because it's a little longer. And the file, I will select an PDF. Here in materials, I have one material. I can add more. I will add two more and I can configure now. I will add in the description. And for finally, the third material. Okay, then we already have all the information filled. I will save the DPP. Like you can see, it's created with the image I assigned. I will see in the eye, but I need to share again. Here, with the text we added, with the structure, the components here, it's a list of materials with the names and the description. And now, for finish, I will show the part of editing the layout of the DPP. This is still in progress, so it's not 100% good. Here we have the plastic toy and we have this bucket icon. We click it. And here we have this structure, the structure of the product type, and with different the specific UI. For example, this is the field of the text. I can click it and I can change it for text. It's a simple text, and then we can align to wherever we want, change the font size. I will put it small, and here the transformation text, I will put uppercase. When I save it, like you can see, it's a text little and uppercase. The description, I will leave it in text default. It's a little bigger. And here in the image, I will only remove this to leave only the name of the file and the icon of download. And here in materials, we have the option. This is a list, so we have the option list in a row or list in columns. Because I know it's 3 materials, I will put 3 columns. And here it's an example. So I only have 1 material, but in my DPP I have 3. I will show you how it looks. I will change the section to be a card and remove the title. So this will be showed this way. I will put the name as a text, bigger and uppercase. And the description, I will leave it normal, but I will center. And the title I will center too. So the UI components are defined. So when I come here again at the product type and I see it, I need to change it again. You can see it, the components are totally changed. And here I already have columns with specific materials. So for the demonstration, it's all.
So the features developments, well, we display them now. This is the list of future developments that we'll be working on. First, the continuous alignment with the CE and CLC JTC24 standard. Second, the implementation of a metadata dictionary and its integration with the EcoTrace app we just showed you. 3, the development of a blockchain network and its integration with the EcoTrace app. And 4th, the assessment of the EU registration integration. So let's explain a little more about these things. So about the alignment with the CGN CLC JTC 24, we as a working group need to keep our efforts on matching the pace of the ongoing developments, focusing on the DPP regulations and standardizations. We are working on many different modules, and such work must stay aligned with what is being discussed and promoted in the group itself. So examples of these are the definition of a semantic model, the serialization models, or the need of an independent semantic repository, as we will see in the next slide. So the semantic dictionary. A good example of development that we must push as a working group is the creation of this semantic dictionary for the DPP. As you could see in the EcoTrace app, for the DPP to stay sector agnostic and future-proof, it is fundamental to have a dictionary that can provide an ontological context to the terms exposed. So users will see terms that can often be very technical, sector-specific, or simply not clear. So having a dictionary, a semantic dictionary for this data or metadata will help users and ensure a proper interoperability. So as an example, take a DPP parameter called source. Its meaning will depend on the context, since it can be a power source, a water source, or any other kind of source. So the dictionary is meant to give the users a definition, to give the user a proper definition of these words in the given context of the product. So this dictionary will be available for all the DPP users, and the authorized users will even be able to write new definitions or update the existing ones. Given that these terms will be shared across the whole product lifecycle and they might refer to many different sectors and industries, it is necessary to have a powerful database that provides extended meaning and relationships across terms. And as we are showing in the picture. So for this reason, we will show Neo4j, that is a property graph made out of nodes and relations, and that allows associations such as synonyms, polynomials, and other kinds of relationships that will improve the understanding of what these terms mean in the dictionary. And well, finally, regarding the EU registry, which is expected to be available in 2026, we need to assess its integration with the EcoTrace app. We will study this possibility once the EU registry is ready, because it is still not. And if it is feasible, we'll work on the integration as shown in this image. We will ask the EU registry gateway connected to the message broker that we talked before to try to make this integration possible.
Okay, we are finalizing our training for today. We still had a kind of one slide on some broader questions that were to a certain extent already coming up a little bit in this discussion now when we were running through the Menti. And we have, for example, I was honestly surprised, but this was maybe due to the fact that it was not pure manufacturers answering the manufacturer question, that there was this third bar also quite high to centrally put all the information. So I think manufacturers have probably voted for the very first one, just the mandatory. And this turned out then also in the discussion later, I guess. So there are a couple of points, I guess, and we can even go to this other slide where some of these questions are also supplemented with a couple of responses that might steer our thoughts in this regard. For example, is this primarily a compliance instrument, or can it also become a systemic innovation platform or an innovation enabler even? And this was to a certain extent a little bit in this discussion also getting through, but we are at the very, very, very beginning, and it may be at a very utopical world scenario that it really kind of would work like that. Interoperability, verified, and also protection of intellectual property and confidentiality, all verified. And the means shall be really needed to become clear on how to use this as a tool for cooperation and knowledge or important information, relevant information handover between inside these value chains, supply chains, etc. I would invite people, if they want to comment on some of these questions which we see here, or maybe, yeah, comment on some of these ideas that might be guiding our thoughts like that. I guess this will definitely be taken on board and carry on. We will carry on discussing these kind of things, because we are at the beginning of thinking how to generate a DPP for these value chains, which we are working on in our project. So what type of granularity of data is, for example, needed, or what would be put there, and who pays actually this extra? So also this question of the incentive was somehow coming in this discussion earlier. And how can we build trust in that? So in the end, we might, if it is used in a sensible way, even have an impact on consumers' choice. But I guess much has to be done, not just on the side of generating tools and mechanisms and data structures for that, but also in kind of educating and generating a kind of a mode of action and a kind of a behavior of how to use it. And so this needs to be kind of maybe a societal change also connected to this, that it becomes a very successful model. Any thoughts on that? Anybody wants to comment?
If I can make just a comment, if the initial idea is a virtuous idea, for sure, there are so many hurdles between today and leading DPP that honestly, today, I do not believe that DPP will be one day in force, or at least the way we believe it could be in force. For me, it's definitely not an innovation platform. It's just a compliance instrument. There are so many questions about the security of the information, who have access to what, with which tools. Do not consider 2030 as the date the DPP will be in force. You can at least at 10 years.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Very important, realistic scenario. I mean, are these important points, these 6? I mean, are we missing here some? Yeah, intellectual property, confidentiality, granularity. I mean, these are, I guess, really the points that we have to educate, and this will take a while. I have been in the area of data verification for quite a while now, so maybe close to 5 years, and we have seen how much is really kind of changing in the field. Even if fairness is not on kind of business related data, but just kind of in scientific community. Fairness is taking a very long and slow walk to progress. Good. So much for discussing and critical thinking. Let's summarize a bit. What have we done today? So we have concerned ourselves on the key elements of DPP: material composition, product identification, environmental impact. These are the issues here. LCA was mentioned as one, and to what granularity LCA might be implemented into DPP. Product lifespan, end of life dimension, durability. Such kind of information pieces are elements what would be nice to have in a DPP if it would be a successful model for future society. Repair maintenance for retailers, recyclers, of course. Logistics, information handover within supply chains, value chains. Certification, compliance, warranty, service, performance data, such things might be also add-ons. We have seen and looked a bit into how DPP data structure could be built, how such things could be working, and how they relate to SSbD workflows. We have learned about blockchain technology. For many of us, it was maybe quite new. I have, for the first time in my life, heard about Hyperledger Fabric and smart contracts. Interesting, and I guess this will be still a journey until we are really kind of taking this up into our vocabulary. Then we have seen the functionality for the first time of EcoTrace. Thanks a lot for Eamon for this development and for sharing this with us. And we're looking forward to further modifications and to further kind of get this somehow implemented. We definitely need to practice a bit with it. So that means we are somewhere in our teaching series where we have a more generic SSbD related teaching and training events. We looked into tier 1, tier 2 elements of SSbD assessments. We had QSAR training. We had already another data fairness, more introductory one, and DPP training a couple of months ago. And we had a very nice training series on LCA, environmental, economic, and social LCA. It will maybe not be the last DPP training session. We know that there will be a video on the EcoTrace tool still. And next event will be then an MCDA training in mid of April, where we are starting our internal discussions and a kind of a first education series on what is MCDA, what is MOO, what tools are out there, how difficult, how sophisticated do they work, how simple tools may be also out there. So please look forward to this. It's going to be a very important training also for us to generate mechanisms for integrating aspects from these different dimensions of what SSbD encompasses. So I hope you liked our session for today. If you have comments, questions, please approach us. I would like to thank a lot the Eamon team for providing this for today. Ruben, Rui, Vanessa, Tonio, Lucia, and whoever was involved in here, also in colleagues Cecile from CA, and Beatrice, of course, for the Menti. Thanks for being here today with us. Again, materials will be shared with the community, of course, respecting confidentiality issues.